It's been called the intelligence coup of the century, and it's more cunning and more deceitful than we ever could have imagined. On the surface, a company called Crypto AG was the world leader in secrecy. Unless you held the code, any messages sent via their encryption devices were impossible to read and interpret. It was the ultimate tool for war, for crime, and for covert international operations. Over 120 countries relied on the crypto encryption equipment from the 1950s well into the 2000s, totally unaware that each and every secret message they sent was being hijacked, falling straight into the hands of the CIA. For over 50 years, governments all over the world, spanning multiple continents and hemispheres, looked to a single company for all their privacy and espionage needs. That company was Crypto AG, a Swiss-based encryption firm. Crypto had begun constructing code-making machines for US troops during World War II, and before too long, were the main supplier for over 100 nations, helping governments of Iran, India, Pakistan, the Vatican, and Latin American military groups all keep their secrets, well, secret. In the eyes of its global customers, the crypto technology was keeping vital pieces of communication safe and secure by operating with crypto. Secrets about everything from spies to soldiers, diplomats, and covert missions were protected. At least, that's what they thought. The crypto customers were clueless to the reality. The company from which they were buying their spy equipment was secretly owned by the CIA in a highly classified partnership with the BND, a German spy agency. Together, the Americans and the former West Germans rigged devices so they could easily break the codes. Any message, any piece of communication that Iran or Pakistan or Argentina or that any country thought was safe was actually able to be intercepted and read by the very people and the very governments they were trying to hide from. In the eyes of its true owners, the CIA and the BND, crypto was the ultimate espionage tool. The United States and its allies exploited other nations' gullibility for years, taking not only their secrets, but their money too. It culminated in an operation that ranks among the most audacious in CIA history. But where did a need for such a widespread intelligence tool come from? Why was the crypto illusion created in the first place? This ever-growing mission, which was known by codenames like Thesaurus and Rubicon, sprouted from the American military's need for their own compact encryption device. Before they were the man behind the curtain, before crypto was nothing more than a rigged ploy to gain information and money, America too was a customer. With the power of crypto at their fingertips, in the late 20th century and even into the 21st, United States intelligence was able to gather intel on a range of targets. In 1978, as the leaders of Egypt, Israel, and the US gathered at Camp David for negotiations on a peace accord, the NSA was secretly monitoring the communications of Egyptian President Anwar Sadat. A year later, after Iranian militants stormed the US Embassy and took over 50 Americans hostage, the Carter administration used the crypto backdoor to monitor the communications of the Iranian leaders, as well as instigate the hostages' release by backchanneling their own communications through Algeria. The US also successfully utilized crypto to feed intelligence about Argentina's military to Britain during the Falklands War, catch South American dictators in the act before their plans for harm were fully realized, and even hear Libyan officials congratulating themselves following the tragic 1986 Berlin disco attack. These pieces of intel and hundreds more just like them couldn't have been gained without crypto as the foundation of their operation. And if not for one man, Boris Hagelin, crypto would have never existed in the first place. As the founder of crypto technology, Hagelin's involvement was pivotal in growing the operation to its eventual enormous size. He fled to the States when Norway became occupied in 1940. With him, he brought a hard, portable, clunky encryption machine, which would soon become known as the M209. Throughout the course of the early 1940s, the US military commissioned Hagelin to build about 140,000 of these machines, which were built at the Smith Corona typewriter factory in Syracuse, New York. That contract was worth $8.6 million, so by the time Hagelin returned to Europe to reopen his factory, he was personally indebted with a sense of loyalty to the United States, a sense of loyalty of which the CIA would take full advantage. While Hagelin's impact was crucial, undoubtedly Uncle Sam has one more vital asset in his corner: William Friedman. Considered the father of American cryptology, Friedman brought with him a long-standing friendship with Boris Hagelin. They'd known and trusted each other since the 1930s. Without that trust, the very first secret agreement between Hagelin and US intelligence, which was a handshake deal made over dinner at the Cosmos Club in Washington in 1951, may not have ever happened. The terms of that deal were relatively simple. In exchange for as much as $700,000 up front, and the promise to compensate any future lost sales, Hagelin's company would only sell their most sophisticated models to countries that had been approved by the United States. Over the next 2 decades, the covert relationship with US intelligence agencies deepened. In 1960, the CIA paid Hagelin another $855,000 in what they disguised as a licensing agreement. In reality, it was a deal to extend the undercover operation. The extension agreement called for Hagelin to continue prioritizing the pre-approved countries. Nations not on that list would get stuck with the older, weaker, compromised systems. So while crypto was giving the highly sophisticated technology to America, it was providing subpar technology to everyone else, allowing the US to reign supreme, a classic denial operation. By 1970, crypto and the whole operation belonged to the CIA and BND. But before the CIA gained full ownership, Hagelin had the opportunity to sell crypto to another party, the French. In '67, a combination of French and German intelligence offered to buy the company in full. Instead of signing on the dotted line, Hagelin said no and reported it to his CIA handlers. Fast forward to 1969, and the Germans had now approached the Americans asking if they too would be interested in becoming partners. The CIA director at the time, Richard Helms, approved the idea of buying crypto and partnering with West Germany with one clear condition: the French needed to be shut out. So, with the French now out of the picture, the deal was officially signed in June of 1970. The BND and CIA agreed to share the costs of buying out Hagelin for approximately $5.75 million, but the CIA made it the responsibility of the Germans to prevent any trace of the transaction ever becoming public. Now, with crypto at their full disposal, the US-West German combo had exceptional espionage power. Although despite the clear success of the operation, the program did carry a number of risks and limitations. It was far from perfect. The US advantage only extended as far as the list of crypto's customers. That list didn't include America's main adversaries, namely the Soviet Union and China. That being said, CIA history suggests that US spies were still able to gain indirect intel by monitoring other countries' interactions with Moscow and Beijing. Throughout the crypto tenure, the CIA also needed to respond to a number of security breaches. Public officials, including even former President Ronald Reagan, let their tongues slip at times, welcoming devastating storms of publicity. Documents released in the 1970s, which showed communication between the NSA and Boris Hagelin, brought even more attention to a potential relationship. As the risks of exposure grew, and as more eyebrows around the world were being raised through the 1970s and 80s, West Germany decided it was time to call it quits. The BND, covering their own backsides, formally left the operation in the early 1990s, selling their stake to the CIA. The American counterparts weren't nearly as phased. They simply continued the operation as normal, maximizing the spy qualities of the crypto empire all the way up until, remarkably, 2018. Despite the raised eyebrows, the success of the program was abundantly clear. During the 1980s, crypto accounted for roughly 40% of all the foreign government's transmissions decoded by the NSA. Meanwhile, the sales from crypto products allowed America, and Germany before it, to funnel millions more dollars in profits into other operations. However, the true extent of crypto's relationship with the CIA and its German counterpart was never revealed until now. Up until this point, it's been rumor and speculation based on fleeting documents and careless statements, but now it's all proven. The Germans and the Americans have confirmed it. We have two particular pieces of irrefutable evidence. The first is a 96-page document of the operation, which was completed in 2004 by an internal branch of the CIA. The second is a record verbal history compiled by German intelligence officials back in 2008. When these two pieces of evidence came to light, neither US nor German officials chose to dispute the authenticity of the documents. This was, in its most pure form, verification of the entire program. The documents also show another curious factor: Switzerland. It's suggested that Swiss officials knew for decades about crypto's ties to the US and German spy services, however, chose to remain on the sidelines. Following all of this information coming to light, the crypto organization was sold and liquidated in 2018. However, its products continue to be used around the world. Two companies stepped in to purchase most of crypto's assets: Psi1 Security and Crypto International. While both of these purchasing entities claim to be unaware of CIA ownership, there is reason to doubt their claims. For starters, the new chief executive at Psi1 held the same position at crypto for nearly 2 decades during the CIA operation. The question must therefore be asked, even though crypto is dissolved, is it just part of a cover-up? Is the spying now simply taking place under the guise of new companies? As all of this news has broken, as the truth behind crypto, Boris Hagelin, the CIA, and the BND has been revealed, very contrasting views have followed. With the value of hindsight, we see two very different opinions. For those who were left in the dark and misled for years, such as Jörg Sporndli, an electrical engineer who spent 16 years working at crypto, the feeling is of betrayal. Quote, "You think you do good work and you make something secure, and then you realize that you cheated these clients." For those calling the shots, the feeling is a stark opposite: carefree, unapologetic, nonchalance. In the words of former NSA director and CIA deputy director Bobby Ray Inman, "Do I have any qualms? Zero." What does this story teach you about intelligence agencies? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to The Richest, and have a great day. Catch you next time.